Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I am Joe Usual, and this is Into the Dead, Our Darkest Days. All 13 survivors that you can find in the game right now, their locations and their skills, and we're going to speed through the process of showing you how to get from the beginning of the POI, or the point of interest, all the way to the survivor. I sped it up, so if you need to slow down that video, you go ahead and do that. And also, guys, this is an early access game, so this might change over time, but as of right now, there are 13 survivors you can find in the game, so let's get into it. First off, in the Harshaw district, we have Texway Gas on Hart Street, and this is where you're going to find the survivor by the name of Joe. Now, Joe has strong shoulders, which means he has extra backpack space. He's a gearhead, which gains him an extra component resource for each dismantled item, but he's also loses morale if his hunger is low. So the depleted is not a great detriment, but you know what? I'll take it because he does have that extra backpack space. I really like Joe. He's my cleanup guy. I use him all the time. Next, in the northern part of the Southborough district, we have the Red Mile gas station, and this is where you're going to find a tough as nails survivor by the name of Barb. Barb is one of those characters that you're going to want to keep alive at all costs. She is a gunsmith. Her ranged weapons are cheaper to craft. She's a whittler. Her melee weapons are cheaper to craft. Although if you give her anything other than a meat product, she loses morale. So don't feed her any vegetable soup, but you can feed her goulash. So if you mix the meat and the vegetables together, it's okay. You just hide it in there with the meat, and she'll pick around it. At 15 Independence Boulevard in Greenhaven, we have another fairly decent fighter by the name of Michelle. Michelle was another one of my favorite characters I'd like to take out quite a bit. She actually does a pretty good job. Her stats stay up fairly well, or at least they did in my game. And so, yeah, you want to go ahead and take her out as much as you can. Michelle will also make more lockpicks when she's crafting them at the workbench. You get 2 instead of 1, which is a really good thing, especially when you need to pick locks. She doesn't eat as much as the rest of the characters, but she does lose more rest each phase because she's an insomniac. Next on the list, we have the Lester Bar Automotive shop over here in Greenhaven, and that is where you find, you guessed it, Lester. And he's one of my favorite scumbags in the game. If you read his history, he's not a nice guy. He did some bad things, but he's a homebody, so you want to go ahead and probably keep him in the house. And the reason you want to keep this guy in the house is because he's got a reduced backpack space, so he doesn't really have too much going on in as far as hauling stuff. I mean, he can clear a building, but his morale doesn't go down nearly as fast as some of the other ones, and he gains more rest when he sleeps. So I usually have him cutting boards for barricades or making new stations or whatever. I don't usually take him out to go fighting very often, but in a pinch, you can do the job. He's just not going to be able to hold very much in his backpack. Subject of useless bags of skin, let's go ahead and go over to Harshaw Presbyterian on the western side of the Harshaw district, where we're going to find ourselves Rahul, which I'm not impressed with, but you know what? Bodies are bodies, and if you don't have bodies, then you can't defeat the zombies. So this is where you find Rahul. And they're one of the reasons why I keep Rahul at the house is because he's feather fist and his blunt weapon damage is reduced. He is a chemist with the distillery recipes giving extra alcohol and fuel, but you have to go to the distillery to do that stuff, and that's only toward the end of the game. But his sensitive stomach means he gets sick from eating uncooked food. Next on the list is going to be the fire station number 8 in the northern part of Buckland Yards, and this is where we find Frank, my favorite cook. I want to keep him in the house at all times. I love this guy so much, so be careful when you go in here because the fire station is super dangerous, but if you can get to him, he's a great addition to your group. And the reason he's a great addition to your group is because he's a good cook. His recipes generate more food at the cooking station. It's not double. He usually gives you one extra, but he's also a scrapper, so he gets bonus damage to blunt melee weapons. So he's a slugger. He can really swing a bat. But his reduced backpack space means I kept him at home quite a bit because I didn't want to lose my cook. And I tell you what, when you are feeding like 10, 11, 12 survivors, you need as much food as you can get your hands on, and this guy, he'll do the job. And speaking of doing the job, once you get into the Walton Taxi Depot on the eastern side of Southborough, you're going to find Aubry. Now, Aubrey's kind of tough to get to because the taxi depot is kind of dangerous, but once you get to her, she does a really good job at meds. You definitely she's one of 2 characters that make extra meds in your medical bay, so you definitely want to get Aubry because I like her better than I do the other one who's the paramedic, and we'll show you him in just a second. So as I said, Aubry is a veterinarian, so she crafts more items at the medical area for the same cost. It's doubled. So instead of one, you get two for the same cost. But she does have a refined taste, so she loses morale if she eats junk food or uncooked meals. But really, once you get a cook, once you get Frank, it's not that big a deal. You're going to be feeding these guys cooked up meals anyway, so she's always going to be pretty happy. Now, in the central part of Seneca, we're going to head over to the Briarwood Motel, and this is where we're going to get Hudson. Hudson is the second jerk in the game if you read his history and listen to his dialogue, and I didn't like this guy from the get-go. But you know what? He does an okay job clearing an area. If he gets offed by a zombie, it's not going to hurt my feelings too much because he is kind of a jerk. And I said it was okay because, you know, he's evasive, so he has a small chance of not taking damage in combat, which makes him a slightly better fighter than some of the other characters. But he's a poor craftsman person, so barricade repair is less effective. And also, he's just like the last lady over here. He loses morale from eating junk food or uncooked meals. So he's picky. He's kind of a butt. But you know what? I use him for fighting. He did okay job. He survived fairly well. I don't think he died in my playthrough. So yeah, he's worth taking. Now, toward the end of the game-ish, we go into downtown and we get ourselves into the 9th Precinct Station. This is a super dangerous building to go into, but Kirk is one of the sheriffs that's there. He's lost an eye, spoilers, but you know what? He's a pretty good fighter. It's really, I bummed me out whenever he got ambushed and I lost him in my playthrough. He's definitely worth grabbing if you have a chance to. So, you know, here in downtown, that's where you want to go, is the 9th Precinct Station, but make sure you're very quiet. There's a lot of bodies in there that are still walking around, if you know what I'm saying. But for all the soft bodies that you're going to find in this game, he's not one of them. He's unfazed. He can continue to operate workstations and scavenge when in a critical state. He's tough, so he takes less damage in combat. Yeah, that's right. His morale is restored slower than other survivors. It didn't mean it goes down faster. It just takes more to get it back. So make sure you have alcohol, have beers, put him down on the therapy couch, you know, so he can get his morale back. All of the above, and you shouldn't have a hard time with him at all. I was pretty happy with him, but then we got ambushed. He got sandwiched, and he was toast. Probably because he only could see out of one eye. Another character that truly surprised me in Jensen Elementary School, she's on the roof. Her name is Isabel in the Ashby district here. She really surprised me a lot. So I've used her to go out and about quite a bit. Although she's probably better for cleanup than anything else. And I'll show you why in just a second. But let's go ahead and show you how you get to her, because it can be a little confusing. It took me a while to find her. But once you do, she's definitely somebody you want to pick up. And when I found Isabel, it looks like she's a teenager, right? She's organized, she's got an increased backpack space, and it compares with Joe's, so she's really good at cleaning up areas after somebody else clears them. She's not a bad fighter, but her morale is restored slower than the other survivors, so I found myself feeding alcohol to this teenager against my better judgment. Don't do that, because it's against the law, but in the apocalypse, anything goes, you know what I'm saying? And while you're in downtown in the northwestern quadrant of it, why don't you go over to Pogo's on 9th and go pick yourself up the paramedic by the name of Miguel. I really don't care for him as far as if I have to compare him to the veterinarian character. But you know what? I mean, any extra body helps. But I just wasn't too impressed with this guy. The reason I wasn't impressed with Miguel was because even though he has first aid training and he can craft some more items at the medical area for the same cost, I feel like Aubry is a better choice. If I had to choose between the two, I'd rather have Aubry than I would Miguel. But his will to live means that when he has a lower health, his melee damage is a lot higher. So you can use him in a fight. It's pretty good. Matter of fact, you have to take him in a fight because if he spends a phase without leaving the shelter, it results in morale loss. He's kind of a crybaby if you make him stay indoors. Now, for me, Six Arcade gave me the opportunity to grab Robbie. He's the party boy of the bunch. It was toward the end of my playthrough, so I didn't really use him that much. So I don't really know how he is as a fighter because I kept him inside for the most part. I had him do menial tasks, but Robbie's okay. But I don't really have an opinion on his fighting ability because I didn't take him out that much. And like I said, I got him later in my playthrough, so I didn't really have a chance to see how he fights, so you have to make your mind up for that. He didn't really have a lot going on. He's a social drinker, extra morale gained from drinking alcohol, and I really want to just tell this guy, man, 70s they want their chest hair back. And last but certainly not least, at Millwood Manor in Kingside, if you make it up here and you haven't gotten to the end of the game, I don't know what you're doing because you're making a beeline for the Millwood Manor. You're gonna find Cooper. Cooper is he's the pilot that pilots the helicopter spoilers for one of the two endings in the game right now. I think there's only two endings in the game. So if you want to fly out of here, Cooper's your man. So Millwood Manor is going to be where you want to go. So that's where you pick up the pilot. I would suggest waiting until the end of the game, until you've explored and you've gotten everybody else, because really if you use him to fight and he dies, well, you're out of pilot and you have to do the other ending. And when you go to get Cooper, you need to be aware he is hurt. He is very, very hurt. He has spoilers. He's got broken bones. You need one of each of the things you can craft from the Tier 3 medical station. You need a Tier 3 medical station before you go after this guy, and you need to have one of each of those items made, because when you get him and you bring him back to camp, you have to heal him up, and you're going to have to use all 4 of the items that are in the Tier 3 medical station. So make sure you have that before you find him, or he's probably going to perish on you. You have to do the other extraction versus going and using the helicopter, which is what I did, because I got the heads up from somebody else, so I'm passing it along to you. Alrighty, guys, that is all 13 of the survivors that you can find in this game at the moment in this early access. The game's only been out for a week. I'm sure they're going to add more. They might even change these guys around location-wise, so this might change in the future. But anyway, I hope this helped you out, and if it did, hit the subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything. As I always say, I am my usual me. You be your usual you, and we'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching, guys. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.